Hi, Tony DeWitt here, Missouri appellate attorney and a guy who likes to make the law make sense on YouTube. Well, there are criminal lawyers and there are criminal lawyers. So let's talk about that. Some of you may remember that two lawyers were involved in an incident following the George Floyd murder in Minneapolis. For whatever reason, people seem to think that the best way to express outrage over that incident was to go burn cities to the ground, and particularly to take out their rage on the local police force who have had absolutely nothing to do with that abomination. George Floyd should never have been killed, and he shouldn't have been treated the way that he was treated. And as a result of that, I absolutely believe that the police officers involved should be tried, and they should never be police officers again. But that should have been done in Minneapolis, not everywhere else with a population of angry people. And there certainly seemed to be a lot of angry people in 2020 when these things were going on. So in New York City, they had a riot in honor of George Floyd, and there were two lawyers who were out that night, and one of them had a vehicle that contained gasoline and bottles, and the lawyers made Molotov cocktails. Now, in the plea agreements that were made and the allocutions that were made in front of the court, the lawyers basically said, well, a female lawyer in the group whose name was Rahman, R-A-H-M-A-N, she took a bottle of gasoline and lit it on fire and threw it through an already busted window on a police car and set the police car aflame. She then ran back to the vehicle that was being driven by Mr. Mattis, and they escaped from the location after setting the vehicle on fire. But as is frequently the case, there were cameras all over the place, the license plates and everything were obtained, and eventually the police tracked down both Mattis and Rahman, and they were charged with, among other things, terrorism. Now, eventually those charges were modified. Eventually, in Brooklyn federal court, they pleaded guilty to conspiracy to commit arson, and they pleaded guilty to the possession of an explosive device, which was the Molotov cocktail. Now, both of those were fairly serious crimes. They were felonies, and because the feds had the goods on them, they wound up pleading guilty. They're due to be sentenced this week. They could get anywhere from 18 months to 24 months in prison as a result of that. Just a few days ago, however, the New York courts disbarred these two lawyers from further practice in front of those courts. So you might be wondering what exactly the lawyers did as far as the bar is concerned that would get them disbarred. Well, here's the answer from Rule 8.4 of New York's Rules Regarding Professional Conduct by Members of the Bar. And it says, a lawyer or a law firm shall not engage in illegal conduct that adversely reflects on the lawyer's honesty, trustworthiness, or fitness as a lawyer, or engage in conduct that is prejudicial to the administration of justice. When you are throwing Molotov cocktails into police cars, that's certainly prejudicial to the administration of justice. And in addition, it's an illegal act, so it falls under paragraph B as well. So there really wasn't a lot of wiggle room here. The New York State Bar had to do what it did, and they had every right to do what they did based on the rules. Now, the disbarment, it depends on what state you're talking about, but some disbarments are permanent, other disbarments are not permanent. Whether or not these two ever get their law license back will depend on a number of factors, not the least of which is how well they behave in prison and how many people they can get to attest to their good character after they get out of prison. But you know what's really sad about this is I can understand these individuals being angry, and I can understand them wanting to protest. I can't understand them wanting to throw bombs as a result of it. That is an exceptionally bad use of judgment. Their judgment was just terrible in that regard, and as a result, they're going to suffer for it. They may wind up suffering for it the rest of their life because they made bad choices in a moment of anger. If there's one thing that I tell people all the time, it is that you should never act while you are angry. Don't say words you will regret, and always try to de-escalate situations. Don't let your anger get out of hand. That's what these two did, and that's what is going to happen to them. They're going to go to jail, to prison for probably at least a year on both of them, and they are probably going to have a really hard time getting their law license back. One of the lawyers was a corporate associate, and he was fired almost immediately by his law firm. The other was a poverty lawyer, and she helped homeless people and other individuals with legal problems. She did poverty law. She was doing a valid community service and helping people, and now she can't do that. And so that rage really ate up a huge portion of help for people who really needed it. So it's a cautionary tale. Don't let your anger get out of hand. And it's also a cautionary tale for lawyers that, if you do let your anger get out of hand and you get involved in something like that, this felony, you're going to wind up paying the price. So, hope you've enjoyed this. Thank you very much for paying attention and watching. And if you have any questions, please leave them in the comments down below. And if you haven't already, please go over and subscribe to our channel. Like, share, subscribe. All the stuff we like for you to do. Again, thanks for watching. Have a terrific day.